You got the whole seat, but only needed the edge in Stark Vegas. Final score, Texas 45, Mississippi State 38. This reaction presented, as always, by BetMGM. Texas found a way, man. And I know that's a different discussion than we would have had the game ended in the third quarter, but the reality of college football is the game does not end after three quarters. You play the fourth quarter, and in this situation, you play overtime to figure the whole thing out. So we'll break it all down right now from the Texas side, from the Mississippi State side, and all that in between. First things first, if you're a college football sicko, make sure you're subscribed because it's college football. Nothing but college football year-round. We appreciate you for being dialed in the way that you are. College football doesn't stop. Neither does the show. So let me start here. Texas is flawed. Okay? They're flawed. They are not who we thought they were. We thought that Arch Manning would be a little bit further along going into this game in the context of this season. We thought Texas would be a team that was looking more national title-ish on defense, and that wasn't really the case in this game. But leaving this game, I think we just as a society have this obsession with like being unimpressed by things. Like we think it's cool to be unimpressed by impressive things. I'm here to tell you it's okay to be impressed by something that's impressive. And that was what Texas was yesterday in the fourth quarter. Like I'm not that big on heights. I'm not big on the Grand Canyon. When I was a kid, I went to the Grand Canyon and cried because it was so high up and it just made me feel so uncomfortable. It's still impressive. Not my thing. It's impressive. I'm not a big circus guy. Cirque du Soleil, still very impressive. Texas, they may not be a national title contender team like we thought they were going to be in the preseason. But when Arch steps out there and goes for 346, had a couple of drops that he was working with too, that's impressive. When you find a way to score 24 points in the fourth quarter to force overtime, and your backup quarterback drops a dime in the bucket to have the go-ahead ultimately end up being the winning touchdown in OT. It's impressive. So, like, I'm looking at Texas, and again, there's a lot of flaws here. Like, you still can't run the ball very well if you're Texas. You allowed 5 sacks, 12 tackles for a loss against a team in Mississippi State that, over the course of the season, hadn't really been that awesome getting after the quarterback. Made them look like they were, just an absolute beast of a unit in that front seven. That hasn't been the case. Defense, not a great look to give up 382 through the air. We said going into the game, Brennan Thompson is a guy, Anthony Evans is a guy, Blake Shapen is a dime dealer for Mississippi State. That turned out to be the case. But I do think that when you look at Texas and you zoom out a little bit and the dust settles and you get into Sunday and Monday, you look at this fourth quarter and say, man, it was 31-14 going into the fourth on the road. Cowbells are clanging. Jeff Lebby and co. are looking for that signature win. Signature win, I guess, in addition to the Arizona State win, the SEC signature win. And you found a way to get it done in the fourth quarter and score 24. You can't fake that. Like, I know there's this idea around Texas of, well, they just get propped up because of the logo and Arch and his last name and, this fascination with Sarkisian and all that. Like, I understand that's a thought from, like, the big picture in the college football public. None of that matters when you're down the way that Texas was down in that game. None of that matters. And so I think that we have to give a lot of credit for the way Texas just, again, willed themselves into a win in this game. Now, should it have been that close? Would you have liked to see some of those points maybe assigned throughout other quarters as well and maybe make it a little bit easier on the heartstrings if you're Texas? Sure. But you don't apologize for getting a win. You don't apologize for getting a win on the road in the SEC. Now, Ryan Niblett needs an NIL raise, dude. I sat here after Red River. He ran a punt back. There was a block in the back that was missed on that punt return. And my takeaway was that was awesome. I'm not too worked up over a missed call. People miss calls all the time in college football. It is what it is. That was awesome. I don't think you can bank on that. Now, 2 weeks since then, Texas has been in a very different spot in the context of the game against Kentucky and in this game against Mississippi State because of Ryan Niblett being an absolute dude back there returning punts. Ran one back yesterday, ran several back to flip the field for Texas against Kentucky. Get him the ball more, I guess is my take here if I'm talking about Texas in relation to what they got to do offensively. This dude is a baller with the ball in his hands. And again, you don't really want to bank on that every single week. But it's worked, and you don't argue with what's worked, and Texas has found a way to get it done, and Ryan Niblett's been a big, big part of that. So here's the most interesting part of this whole thing for Texas with me going forward. Even since the Oklahoma game, it's always been okay, so what? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, that happened, so what are you because of that? You know what I'm saying? Like the Florida game, I think, was okay, urgency, desperation, Red River, so we find a way to win in Red River. Okay, so that game against Oklahoma, so what from that game? Well, the traits seem to carry over in the overtime spot against Kentucky. Okay, those traits seem to carry over for this game against Mississippi State. So my question is, I don't know anything about Arch Manning and the injury status there, so I don't want to speak authoritatively on that. But overall as a team, Texas in that fourth quarter and overtime period seemed to just let it rip a little bit more, seemed to play a little bit more free, a little bit more with reckless abandon. And I think you got to do that with where Texas is in this point in the season. You got Vanderbilt at Georgia, Arkansas, and A&M. Doesn't feel like they're going to be a national title contender like we thought in the preseason, but they're not out of it. All their goals are still in front of them. Only 2 losses. They're not going to be an easy out. If we're using these last couple of weeks as a measuring stick here, now is Kentucky and Mississippi State world beaters? Probably not. But again, Texas winning on the road in the SEC in overtime, you do not apologize for that in the slightest. So Texas, is this the moment where they flip a switch going forward? So what? So what do they let it rip, I guess is the question here, ahead of the rest of this season for them down the stretch here, looking at Vandy, Georgia, Arkansas, and A&M. Now for Mississippi State, I don't want to do the head pat thing for them and say, oh, so close, good for y'all, you're building. But it's your second-year head coach with a lot of new pieces, and you should have won that football game. Now, nobody cares that you should have won the game because today you're saying, JD, we didn't win the game. We're upset, and you have every right to be. I'd be upset too. But I do think that for Mississippi State, it's impossible to look at what they were a year ago and where they are now in the games they're playing in and not say, okay, we're better. We're seeing progress. It's only year 2. Where could this thing be going? And I know that feels like a moral victory. In some ways, it is a moral victory, but I'm just saying you got to kind of go through some of your growing pains here with a first-time head coach in his second year. You got to kind of take your lumps in some of these close games, and you got to find a way to win these close games. And to this point, Mississippi State has not been effective in doing that. They are 1-3 in one-score games. 0-3 in one-score games in the SEC. That one-score game came against ASU, which was a good win when you got it for sure. But you got to look at where you started. You were 2-10 a year ago. This thing is headed the right direction. So I understand you hang your head today and say we should have won that game. Yes, you should have. But at some point in time, you will find a way, you'd like to think, to get over the hump and win these close games. And you'd like to think that Jeff Lebby is only going to get better as a head coach, as well as the rest of this football team. So we'll see what happens, but I'm just saying, stay the course. It's slow and it's sure and it's painful to lose close games like this, but just stay the course. Don't jump ship yet, Mississippi State fans. Stay the course, and I think good things can and will happen. But Texas found a way in OT. No idea what's ahead for Arch Manning. You hope he's able to get a clean injury report here in the near future, but no report as of now. Texas, you do not apologize for winning on the road in the SEC. Cato on the 1s and 2s, myself, JD PicKell. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We will keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.